The new Ecovacs Deebot X2 Complete is the most feature-rich and powerful robot vacuum on the market. And I gotta tell you, if they put the brains of this thing in self-driving cars someday, whew, we are all gonna die. But that doesn't mean it can't do a great job cleaning your floors. Or does it? Let's find out. Let's start with the features. This is a true beast of a machine. Multiple machines, actually. The Ecovacs Deebot X2 Complete comes with the X2 robot vacuum mop and a cordless handheld vacuum with all sorts of attachments all in one sleek station. Now, why would you need a handheld vacuum when you have a robot to vacuum for you? Well, unfortunately, robots can't climb stairs or vacuum couches, and maybe some people, like those weirdos who still drive stick shifts, just like the thrill of vacuuming manually once in a while. I gotta say, the manual vacuum does not disappoint. It's got a great feel, powerful suction, and I actually prefer it over our old dumb vacuum. It's got an attachment for pretty much everything, including a full stick vacuum, and they all fit neatly into the base station. The collection container is a little small, but it's enough for the job, and it auto-empties into the base station every time you're done. But I recommend just emptying into the garbage yourself so you don't have to change the vacuum bags in the station as often. So that's all fine and dandy, but of course the real star of the show is the Deebot X2 Robot Vacuum and Mop. Now, I know there have been other robots that both vacuum and mop, but this might be the first one that does both at an elite level. It's like the Shohei Ohtani of robot vacuums, except it never gets hurt, and doesn't cost $200 million. The vacuum is exceptionally powerful. They claim 8,700 pascals of suction, and I'll take their word for it because I don't know what a pascal is. But I can tell you, whatever the vacuum rolls over, it sucks up. It also has a unique square shape that helps it get more crud out of corners with the help of this spinning brush in the corner. But I was even more impressed by its mopping capabilities. The Deebot X2 features two spinning mopping pads in the rear that raise up on carpet and lower to mop on hard surfaces. The camera on the front of the Deebot can detect if the robot is on carpet or on a hard surface and adjust accordingly. It can raise the pads up to 15 millimeters, which is enough for these rugs that I have here, usually. I found it does a really good job with this, only occasionally mopping on the rug when it was kind of half on the rug, half on the vinyl plank. When the mop pads get dirty, the Deebot will go back to the station to clean them, which is a pretty neat feature. The base station has both a clean water tank and dirty water tank, and let me tell you this, do not let the dirty water tank go unemptied while you go on vacation because it will smell like death when you get home. And look at that water, that is disgusting, but it means the mop is doing a great job. You can set how often you want the pads to be cleaned in the Ecovacs app. In fact, let's talk about the Ecovacs app for a minute. The app is where you adjust all the settings for the Deebot. You can adjust vacuum power, water flow level, whether you want the vacuum only, mop and vacuum, all that. You can set the cleaning intervals for your mop pads, how often the dustbin gets emptied, and other less exciting features. You can also set a cleaning schedule for the Deebot, which is really the beauty of having a robot vacuum in the first place. The less I have to think about, the better. In the app, you can also view the map that the robot has created of your house. You can see that this did an excellent job of mapping the hardwood and carpet areas in my house, but the 3D map is a little bit questionable. If you have multiple floors like I do, you can create multiple maps and move the Deebot to the other floor when you want to vacuum there. Now, this works, but it is kind of annoying. Somebody please get a vacuum that climbs stairs. That's all we really want. When the robot is in action, you can follow its progress on the map, and you can view the archive maps as well, so you can see where it's vacuumed and mopped and scold it for missing spots or just being lazy. The other interesting feature of the app is Video Manager mode. Now, if you look at the Deebot user manual, the first thing it says is that the robot is not to be used as a toy. But that is totally a lie, because look at this thing. When you enter Video Manager mode, you can see what the robot is seeing and drive it around like a tank. You can spy on your kids, use it for hostage negotiations. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if it's super practical. I mean, there's a patrol mode that I guess you can use to cruise around and see if your house is on fire when you're not there or whatnot. But the best use is just to annoy your family, and I approve.
This is your father. We're down with Donette.
So that's what the Deebot X2 Complete does. Now, how well does it do it? Well, that depends. The Deebot has multiple cameras plus an advanced dual laser LiDAR system, so in theory, it should be able to get in and out of tight places, avoid obstacles, and generally make good decisions. And it usually does. But other times, well, let's go to the tape. First, obstacle avoidance. Usually it does a great job. It hasn't attacked the dog yet and usually avoids her toys. But this time, for example, it decided it wanted to play with the ball. I can't blame it, it's bright orange, looks like a lot of fun. But I'm not paying you to play in the job. And like this example here, it usually doesn't barrel into things, but obstacle avoidance sometimes just seems like more of a suggestion than a firm commitment. The Deebot has done an excellent job of not committing suicide by driving off the stairs, but it did lose a wrestling match with the rug once, got caught in the sliding door track, and gotten stuck in a couple tight spots. In its defense, it definitely tries hard to unstuck itself before giving up, and it usually succeeds. But every once in a while, you have to save it from itself. You can mark areas on the map that are off limits as trouble spots so it won't go there, and it can avoid some problems down the line. As far as navigating tight spots like under the kitchen table, the manual says to move chairs, but obviously you're not going to do that. So I let it run as is. Getting on the table is kind of hit and miss. Sometimes it works really hard to get between the chair legs, and other times it just gives up and doesn't even try. If you run the Deebot every day, it will probably get all of the floor a couple times through the point of the week, but if you want to run it once a week or so, you better move those chairs and make sure it gets everything. So how good is the vacuum coverage when it's in an open space? Well, to find out, I crushed up some Cocoa Krispies and spread them across my kitchen floor. And when I set the Deebot to run on a single pass, well, the results were a bit disappointing. Everything it went over, it scooped up, but you can see these gaps here, and it missed quite a bit. When I set the vacuum to do a double pass, it did both a horizontal and a vertical pass, and it did a really good job and got pretty much everything. As a comparison, I ran the same test with my previous floor cleaning machine, aka my Golden Retriever, and the Deebot with the double pass actually did outperform the dog, so good job there. When you look at the maps of the cleaning the Deebot has done in my house, it generally does a pretty thorough job, but it just leaves some weird gaps sometimes and could do a better job of tightening up its spacing. Ecovacs says they're working on this, and it definitely seems like something that can be improved with the firmware update because the vacuum itself is outstanding. Noise-wise, the Deebot is pleasantly quiet on normal settings. If you crank it up to max suction, you won't want it running while you're watching TV, but generally you don't need it running full blast for daily cleaning. The self-emptying feature is pretty loud, but it only lasts a couple seconds. I have no problem running the vacuum in normal mode while we sleep upstairs, but I would turn off the auto empty feature if you do that so you don't get woken up. Like everything, the Deebot does require occasional maintenance, but the mop pads are easy to replace and it only takes a few seconds to pop off the brush and clean out the dog hair. Or you can be smart and not get a dog in the first place so you don't have to worry about that. The Deebot X2 has its own voice command system that you can use by saying "OK Miko," or you can connect it to Amazon Alexa or Google Home. The Deebot X2 is also Matter capable, and they say Matter connectivity will be added later as a part of the firmware update, and we are obviously all holding our breath for that. Yay, Matter. Also, if you're a Homey Pro user, there is a community integration, so there actually are some automations you can do with the vacuum, and I will get to that in a minute. As for my overall impressions of the Deebot X2 Complete, the machine itself is awesome. The handheld vacuum is great. The Deebot robot is very impressive when it does what it's supposed to do, but at times, it feels like a Ferrari being driven by your drunk uncle. I'm confident that will improve with updates over time, but right now, you're gonna get some occasional weirdness. But if you can put up with some WTF moments every once in a while, it is a pretty great vacuum. Now, one final thought on the Deebot X2 Complete. I definitely feel like it is worth the extra money to get the handheld vacuum over the standard Deebot X2 Omni, but that does make the base a bit wider. I would love to keep the vacuum in the base station in this closet right here to keep it out of the way. The problem with that is that then you can't run the vacuum on a schedule because somebody's got to be home to open and close the door. Unless, of course, the door was automated to open and close when the vacuum ran. But we'll save that for our next video. Thanks for watching.